Welcome to episode 26 of the Harsch Review of Film and TV Podcast. My name is Sean, and with me is my brother Ryan. Ryan, what's going on?
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Nothing too crazy going up here. Weather's getting nicer. Watching some TV. Not a whole lot of movies. I see you've been busy.
Yeah, well, when I'm on vacation, so
nice.
Leaving town here by the time this podcast airs, I'll be on the beach somewhere in America. But
You're going to Wally World?
Oh yeah, that's my first stop.
Nice.
Wally World and then the beach. But I've just been busy kind of catching up on shows I've been meaning to get to, or just kind of a lot of random stuff actually that kind of came my way. So we could definitely talk about that.
Yeah. Cool.
But a lot of stuff going on in the movie and TV world. One big story I noticed, Sean, was the stuff about Roseanne.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So, yeah, I don't want to get into exactly what she said. It was racist as hell and totally inappropriate. And it's funny how she blames it on drugs, right?
Yeah, it was Ambien, I believe.
Yeah. And then Ambien wisely released something that said that, well, Ambien does not cause racism,
Yeah.
But you will get up at 2 a.m. and bake a cake, but
that's about it.
We don't cause racism whatsoever. But it's just, I don't know, it's kind of sad that the biggest thing I thought about, well, it's like she's kind of indebted to these other people that are on the show with her. I know the girl who plays her sister was Laurie Metcalf. She was up for an Oscar nomination recently, and I don't think John Goodman's been up to much, and I don't know about the rest of them, but it's just kind of like these other actors and actresses really depend on her for this kind of thing, and then the rug gets pulled from under her because she does something really stupid, and now they have nothing, so it kind of sucks for them.
Yeah, hopefully they get paid from their contract. I think it was a wise move to eventually just part ways with her. I mean, 20-something million viewers. It definitely was a huge success. But it kind of goes to show you that, if they had not, it would have been even worse because then the company would, in theory, be supporting what their employees, so to speak, are doing. So it's nice to see in this day and age, there's just no tolerance for people that are racist idiots.
Yeah, I mean, and they were right on that. It wasn't, a lot of times they're like, well, we're going to review the evidence and take a look at everything. But it seemed like she did it maybe 2 a.m. and then the next morning it's like, show's canceled.
Done.
Yeah, we're done. And that is good because, it just shows that a lot has changed in the last 10 years with social media. And you can't just go on there and rant and rave and say anything and then expect to get away with it. And it's good to see that these studios have, no tolerance for this kind of stuff, no matter who you are or how much money you're making for them. You can't do that.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good move on their part. I haven't seen the show. I don't really have any strong opinions about her or any of that kind of stuff, but it doesn't quite surprise me. I don't know, maybe that's kind of sad to say, but it definitely seemed like something she was capable of. It didn't really seem totally shocking, and I guess in some respects, just given how she's been so off the cuff on so many subjects. Yeah, I guess it kind of comes with the territory of her persona.
Well, we knew that when she did the national anthem, right?
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good news bit. I didn't come across anything I think that caught my eye for just news. I know that they're narrowing down an actual release date for the next Indiana Jones movie. So that was kind of excited, with Solo kind of recently being out in theaters and a lot of talk about Harrison Ford. So looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know the exact date yet, but I'll find it. We'll find out.
Oh, you're good. I'm sure you'll be the first to know.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it before, and it was sometime in July. I believe they're shooting for July 10th, so it's going to be right in the middle of 2020. So it's not going to be 2019. It's looking at 2020, so it's going to be a little while. But
some things are worth waiting for.
Yeah, they pushed it back. They were shooting to go out for next year, but I think they wanted to wait until Harrison Ford was old enough to where you didn't have to insure him anymore.
Yeah.
because it's like, well, he's going to die anyway. So,
ouch.
I know, poor guy. It's gonna be a sad day when that happens. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great actor,
All right.
very much a part of our youth.
Now I'm all depressed. Cheer me up. What do you got?
Well, I got some Batman news.
There we go. Batman.
Yeah, this goes out to our boy Matt at the Not for Human Consumption podcast.
Oh yeah, little Matt over
listening.
there.
I'm sure he already knows about this, but we're gonna say it anyway. So there's a movie coming out called The Batman. And there's not like a whole lot about it. We know Matt Reeves will be directing it, but another rumor, we don't know how true it is, that the plan is to feature the Penguin as the main villain, which is interesting because we've already seen that, so it's kind of like, all right, well, we've done it with the Joker, and we've a couple times done it with Two-Face one time, and so now we have the Penguin coming out. So, we might see a different kind of Penguin this time, and we've already kind of talked about that to some extent on the Big Batman extravaganza we did. But we could kind of see maybe more of a Penguin that's not so disgusting and grotesque, and more like a Al Capone type Penguin. In this case.
A little bit more of a traditional, I would say.
Yeah,
not so much the Tim Burton-y fish eating type Penguin.
Yeah, and I mean, so it's like as soon as this came out, a couple people took to Twitter. I know Nick Frost, who's done a lot of those movies with Simon Pegg. He said he'd love to do it. Josh Gad said he'd love to do it. Somebody,
I could see him doing it.
He'd be good. Someone else, they went to the pains of making an actual poster of having Andy Serkis doing it.
Yeah, it's another good choice.
Yeah, so I think any of those would be good choices. It's just how you're going to do it. There's also this Birds of Prey movie coming out, which is going to bring back Harley Quinn and introduce Batgirl.
Yeah, there's a lot of different scripts submitted around the Birds of Prey. One of them does have Penguin as the main character, so it's either going to land in the Batman movie or something in the Birds of Prey. I don't quite know a whole lot about it. Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, for a Penguin to come through, definitely going to have to do something new, because I did like Danny DeVito, even though the Penguin was a very different take to it. So there was some originality there. I'm really just kind of thinking from a visual point of view, if you're going to have another actor that's short and fat, that's going to fill that part. I don't know. We'll see.
Every fat guy in Hollywood's going to want to take that role.
Yeah.
And it's not like that's it. I mean, I would love to see another crack at Mr. Freeze.
I think they could make him cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like...
That's a tough one, though. I don't know.
You could say Schwarzenegger killed it in a bad way.
Yeah. Take it back to the Ice Age.
Yeah, we've talked about Freeze in Hell, Batman.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. We could do this all day. But
please,
yeah, so that's the Batman news. And I'm sure we'll hear more about this as the time comes. But I'm excited. As you know, I'm a big Batman fan. I know you are. I know Matt is. So this is something we'll all be keeping you listeners updated on.
Just us three. Yeah, everybody loves the Batman.
Yeah.
Well, at least you should. He's pretty cool.
He is.
Yeah, so, that's good there.
Yeah, and then we also had some news this week that kind of rocked the world. Andrew Lincoln's going to be leaving The Walking Dead after season 9.
It took him long enough.
Right. So
it's your boy, man. Are you sad?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't really kept up on the show too much. I've been more into, just because I've been meaning to catch up on it, Fear the Walking Dead. So I've been more into that show. But, I mean, a lot of people are saying, the Walking Dead main show's kind of run its course, and we're kind of seeing a lot of the same stuff. When are they going to kill Negan? We don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, as soon as that kind of goes off, there's talk of Norman Reedus. They offered him a pretty big bonus for his role as Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been talking about giving him a lot of money. And then the other character that plays Maggie, Lauren Cohan, She's kind of making some waves about her contract. So who knows? I mean, honestly, all good things should come to an end. We've had this talk before, but it's kind of nice when you see a definitive end for some of these shows like Breaking Bad. 5 seasons, you're done.
Sure.
Instead of just kind of drawing it out. I know it's kind of tied to the comic book, but I think the show has more or less surpassed what's going on in the comic book at this point. So,
well, it's losing steam. I mean, Andrew Lincoln's probably one of the best things about the show.
Yeah.
I think he's a great actor. He's done a good job with what he's been given. And when he's typically not involved or whatever, I haven't really enjoyed it as much. He's probably one of the only characters you kind of care about. And he's also like that unlikely, anti-hero, so to speak. So I know that at some point he's supposed to die. That's kind of something they've been forecasting with the comics, and it goes many different directions. But I'm more curious about like how are they going to part ways with him.
He's great. I mean, no idea the guy's British.
Yeah, I think he's Australian, isn't he? Or is he British?
Yeah, I'm not. I got to check that one, but of course, they start outing people for what their supposed nationality. I don't
dare
get in trouble.
You guess my nationality.
Yeah, he's great either way, but it would be a loss to the show. But it's the zombie thing. It's kind of like I said, it's kind of run its course. It's a good show, but I wouldn't be sad if it ended.
Sure. Well, it's also nicer when it ends, and then you can kind of go back and watch it from beginning to end, and it feels like it's complete. Rather, hopefully it's something not like Deadwood, for example. Am I saying that right? Deadwood, right? Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, the Western.
Yeah, like where that just kind of ends, and because of the strike, you don't get any resolution on anything like that. It's one of the best shows ever.
I love that show.
So hopefully it wraps things up before everybody starts splitting on their contract.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we'll see. But
cool.
all you fans out there, chime in on the Facebook page if you want about your thoughts on The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody cares at this point.
Hey,
I'd be really curious to find out though. There might still be some out there.
I got one friend in particular. He likes to spoil the show. Like, he's probably listening right now, or one of his friends is.
Yeah,
he likes to go on friend, quote unquote, likes to go online, like spoil the show. Like, oh, Rick, why'd you do that? It's like
that's rad.
like and it's like in this day and age, we're not always watching the show in real time.
Yeah.
First of all, some of us have lives to lead, and we can't, So
I think spoilers are kind of funny. Like they don't really bother me because I don't really care that much to where I'm like, you ruined it,
Yeah.
I guess there was a point to where you're really into a franchise or something, you want to experience everything. I think I just naturally do a good job of avoiding that type of stuff.
It is funny though too. When people go on, I remember when The Force Awakens was at it.
Yeah, the guy comes out.
They killed Solo. It's like, all right,
all the people in line were booing at this dude, and they all got refunded money.
Yeah,
people are driving around with like big things on their cars saying Han Solo was killed and stuff.
That might be me. Like just drive by the premiere on the night. When they're all
just
online,
troll everybody.
Yeah, bring your tissue. Solo dies.
Oh my goodness, what an ass!
Yeah, right.
But hey, I mean, I think intentionally spoiling something's not cool. But it's kind of hard to avoid spoilers to a certain extent, especially because that's one of the things I mentioned several episodes ago that I don't like about a lot of like movie podcasts and stuff is like this race to get your content out the night of so you can get all the downloads or all that kind of stuff. And I just don't like that aspect of it. And most of that kind of stuff is very spoiler heavy. I kind of like what we do where we'll talk about it. We'll talk about Solo in a minute, but we talk about last week and we kind of give people a good buffer or a good heads up. So you try to be considerate that there are people that it's going to matter. But for me personally, if something got ruined, I wouldn't be too bummed. But the flip side of the coin is imagine like Indiana Jones 5, right? And I'm going to go see it, and someone ruins it, and then I'd be kind of
that
pissed.
Someone would be me.
I get it.
Hey, Sean, guess what happens?
Yeah, I guess it just depends on the significance of whatever it is you're watching. If it's got something that has a lot of equity, like Avengers. 20 movies in, and then someone ruins it for you. I mean, that does suck.
Yeah.
But what can you do? Social media is going to burn you, so just don't look at it. It's not that hard.
Right. And there is a statute of limitations. I mean, if you really like the show, you can't be like, I was too busy and I just got around to it 6 months later,
Yeah.
Especially
I think 2 weeks is kind of it. If it comes on TV, you have a DVR, you got 2 weeks to watch the damn thing. Other than that, move on. If you're a huge fan and you care about spoilers, you'll see it in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, especially like Avengers, where you kind of have to see it in the theater. It's just
that's why I went and saw it. I was like, I don't want to not be in the dark for a week and a half.
Yeah, but I mean, just for the cinematic kind of glory of it too.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's not something you're going to rent. You have to see it on a big screen. You have to see it in 3D or whatever you prefer.
Yeah, whatever your fancy is.
Yeah, but
I agree.
At the Harsch Review, we're very considerate of our fans who do not want things spoiled for them, but we won't wait forever. So,
yeah, that's true.
How it's going to have to be
2 weeks. I think that's respectable.
2 weeks. Yeah,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Name that movie, Sean.
I'm the one who started it. Of course, I know it. Yeah.
All right. So I had a couple other things, but I don't really care about it. So
you're over it. Go for it.
Expendables 4, but I don't care. I mean,
no one gives a shit. What else?
Yeah. Spielberg and DiCaprio are possibly going to be teaming up for a movie about President Ulysses S. Grant. That's interesting because a lot of people don't know about this guy. And it seems like Spielberg, as he gets a little older, he's cranking out a lot more of these like historical bios. So this is not the first collaboration. They teamed up for Catch Me If You Can back in 2002. Which I love that movie. It's a fantastic film.
Yeah, it's good.
But, DiCaprio is currently working on Tarantino's new film set around the time of the Manson murders. But Spielberg is now looking at DiCaprio playing Ulysses S. Grant in a biopic. He was basically like a Civil War general turned president, and his president was known for a lot of scandals because he just because you know how to fight a war doesn't mean you know how to be a president. So, David James Kelly, who co-wrote Robin Hood, he'll be working on the script, and we'll see if it's another kind of, snoozer like Lincoln, or if it's going to have a lot of interest in it. I'd be interested just because I don't know about this guy, and I am interested in history, but if it's Spielberg's hands, it'll probably be good in some form.
Yeah, another history piece. He's telling history.
Yeah.
You should write a history book.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds pretty interesting. It's going to be, when's that? Is that something he's doing after Indiana Jones, or is he going to do that before?
It's looking like he might do that before, but as we've talked about Spielberg before, he definitely likes to multitask.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, he could be having some second unit do Indiana Jones while he's working on Grant, or vice versa.
Sure.
So, it could kind of be both, but he is doing some other stuff that's not Indiana Jones, because he is going to be doing West Side Story.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I don't know if you knew about that, Sean.
No, I did. I mentioned that before, I think.
And there's another movie I don't know anything about called Black Hawk, which is a World War II era movie.
Okay, I can get down with that.
Yeah, it's DC Comics, I guess, adaptation. So, that'd be interesting. But I don't know about the West Side Story. I think you should. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
sure, our mom would like that one, but
yeah, I know. Yeah. Is he doing? What's it? Song of the Wind, or what's that song of the? Come on, what's that dumb movie that old people like? Sound of Music. Yeah.
Sound of the Wind.
I don't know, something like that. It's like spinning around in the wind, hearing
Sound
sounds.
of the Wind.
Yeah. You hear the
That's
sound.
a great one.
So speaking, you mentioned, a friend Matt over at the NFHC podcast. He's a big fan of Avatar, and I got a little bit of info about Avatar 2,
really?
3, 4, 5.
He really does Avatar.
He loves the movie so much that he almost uses papyrus font exclusively for all of his creative projects.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. He really hates it. So, anyways,
well, they get along fine with us on that one.
We'll bring him on and we'll talk about his hate for Avatar. We could probably go a whole hour and a half, folks. So
I'm looking forward to it.
It's good. Anyway, so James Cameron went on the record saying that Avatar 2 will revolutionize 3D. And this was something I read on movieweb.com, and I saw actually I watched a YouTube video of it first, and saw his interviews and stuff like that, and then went online to kind of get it on record, so you can see it over at MovieWeb if you truly care. But I'm going to give you a couple quotes from him because it is a little bit interesting where he's kind of taking it. But essentially he's saying that the reason why movies don't work in 3D is because they're not actually shot in 3D. They're converting 3D. So obviously it's a money grab. We all know that. He feels passionate about that. But here's something that he had to say according about where he's headed with Avatar 2 and beyond. So, quote, "From my own perspective, since I'm not doing television production, I'm doing Avatar sequels, 4 of them. They will be, to the best of my ability, the best 3D that's possible to make. That includes collaborating with people at Dolby Cinema who have developed high dynamic range projection that could put a 16-foot Lamberts of light on a 3D screen through glasses, which is revolutionary. Normally, you're looking at about 3-foot Lamberts. 16 is what you should be seeing. That's what movies should look like." So I don't know what the hell that really means. I kind of get what he's implying, like what's a Lambert, right? So I need to check that out, but maybe you know.
I have no idea what that is. I do know the guy. He's very innovative. I'll give him that much.
Sure. What I believe he's referencing though is when you 3D works because you're having 2 different projections, sometimes 3 different projections, and they are slightly off, and then the glasses. It's almost like a polarization effect where they line up all those alternate images on top of each other, and that's what makes the 3D depth.
Okay.
And there's electronic glasses that would, you're running your TV at something like 240 hertz, and the right side of your screen running at 120, and the left side of your screen's running at 120. And so what they do is they flicker at 120 refresh times a second, and it's so fast that your glasses tick on and off from left to right. It's going too fast for you to see it, but it creates that 3D effect.
That's crazy.
I believe what this might be talking about what a Lambert is the amount of layers pre-glasses.
Okay.
So then the glasses take all 16 of those, and that gives you that true depth. But the last thing he mentioned here is that the true future of it, which could come around before the end of his Avatar run, is that he intends to make glasses-free 3D possible. And he says the way he will do that, he says, we need to see the rollout of these laser projection systems so that we can fully appreciate 3D through glasses in cinema. Then we need the rollout of auto-stereoscopic screens, large panel displays where you don't need glasses at all. You have multiple discrete viewing angles and all that sort of thing. Anybody that's geeking out on 3D knows what I'm talking about. It's all possible. It's just a question of will it happen or not.
I don't know what he's talking about. What I want to know is who's paying for all this.
He's got so much money from that boat sinking in the water.
But it's like, is he going to go trick out all these theaters across the country and overseas? Or, I mean, I like that he's pushing the boundaries, but it's like, the reality is like someone's gonna have to pay for this, and it's not just gonna be him. And it's like, the average viewer might have to pay a lot more money, which I wouldn't mind too much, but it's hard enough to get people to go to the movies as it is.
Well, if I remember, I mean, when I saw Avatar originally, I thought it looked pretty rad because it was visually a lot more unique for that type of movie at that time. But it was almost kind of like once the smoke and mirrors went away, you realize it's just a terrible movie. And so visually, I could appreciate it at its time. It didn't really age too well. and the story has no depth to it. The acting is pretty bad.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool visuals and a lot of cool stuff going on with it. It had potential. I just don't know if he's actually going to be able to tell a decent story or make you actually care with what you're watching.
Yeah.
But December 18th, 2020 is when Avatar 2 comes around, and then he's got the sequels on December 17th, 2021, December 20th, 2024, and December 19th, 2025. So buckle up, folks. Smurfs in space are not going away for a while.
It's a deluge.
Yeah, I mean, that movie killed it, though. It did great in the box office, so I think it was just the marketing and the hype. I don't think it killed it because it's actually a good movie.
Wow.
I don't know. We'll see. Fight
I'm
me.
Scared.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
All right,
so
let's move on.
All right.
So I want to go back and talk about Solo again real quick.
Okay.
Just because I think that it's not really a spoiler heavy movie, so I don't really think there's anything you could really ruin in that movie. But I want to talk about some specifics with you, just for a moment. While I know we touched on it last week and kind of gave folks some time. So if you haven't seen it, hit that forward 30-second button on your podcast player. Shoot forward a couple minutes. But honestly, I think it's pretty low risk. Anyways.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of see what your overall takeaway was just in regards to the movie and the plot and all that kind of stuff in general. I know we both liked it.
Yeah.
Is it what you wanted from a Solo movie? Is there anything in particular you liked? Anything you didn't like? Maybe any more specifics you want to share?
I mean, and again, it's like every time I go to the movie sites to do research, it's just Solo's a dud, and I think it's really unfortunate that people are kind of slamming this movie just based on how much it's taken in. I thought it was great. I really didn't have any problems with it. I mean, it's not really like it's Han Solo, so it's not like you're getting into some lineage here like you are with the Jedi.
Yeah,
you're just focusing on one particular character, so the whole tone of the movie is going to be almost like a Western. Which in some ways this movie kind of is. It's kind of staged.
That's a good comparison.
It's like staged like a Western or like, even near the end, like kind of like a crime caper type film. So you're not going to get like a lot of depth, and that's okay in this case because you don't need to. So I didn't really have any issues with it so much. I did see it in 3D, and I have issues with 3D because the film kind of looked darker through the glasses. For some reason, I wear regular glasses.
That's pretty normal.
Yeah. So
but it is a dark. That's interesting you mentioned that because I didn't see it in 3D, and it does start very dark, like visually, not like this is heavy. It's visually very dark. I don't think that was the glasses. It is very dark, but that's something that it's interesting you mentioned that because that is one of those elements that people look to when you have things that are rushed in production. And I was doing a little bit of research on that part of it because like where were the compromises? I mean, I had my guesses or intuitions I talked about last week. But when you take a movie and you do rush it a little bit, you tend to have to put a little bit of a vignette over certain things that you're not going to flesh out as much or bring out the renderings in the set or things along those lines. So it can be sometimes normal. I don't think that's the case in this one. I think that was the style they're looking for. But there definitely were some compromises on reshoots and stuff because you just weren't going to rebuild it and things like that.
And so, okay. So, I mean, the only issue maybe I have is that it took a little while for the movie to get going, like for me. But of course you have to build character and all that. We already kind of know this character going in. But that was pretty much it. I mean, it's not like I had to wait, too long for it to pick up. But the fact that that he's surrounded by a very good cast also kind of helps. You got, Paul Bettany was in that. Emilia Clarke were great. Donald Glover, Woody Harrelson, Dandy Newton. I think they were all great. Just an entertaining movie. It's not like you have to go in there really like. I went in with the mindset like I'm not going to sit and analyze this. I just want to have a good time. And that's what I got.
Yeah.
That's what I got,
Yeah, I agree. What'd you think of Alden's performance?
I thought he was good. I mean, like he was funny, but it was like you could see the genesis of Solo, where kind of like smug, cocky, arrogant. So you kind of see that, but I thought it was a good pick. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, I was talking in a little chat group earlier with a couple of the guys from NFHC and some other friends of theirs, some other guys from There Can Be Only One podcast, I think. It's a fun podcast to check out. And they were, I think one of them mentioned about the whole Han speaking Wookiee language. So we're talking about that. I mentioned somewhere, I kept thinking I said it last week, but I know I didn't. Where that was one of the only things I kind of got hung up on that just felt a little bit too convenient. Like it wasn't super clever, but it is something that they had to establish. Like, so it makes sense. Yeah. And they kind of went through that quickly. It's just, there's a part of it that wasn't totally necessary, but then the other part was it just kind of was just a bit strange because you never really heard anybody other than a Wookiee speak Wookiee. I don't know. Did that stand out weird to you, or are we overthinking this?
No, I mean, to me, like Chewbacca's always been like Han Solo's like dog, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like they have that kind of relationship where, you know, obviously the dog doesn't talk back. In this case, the dog does talk back, but I mean, I think there's like an understanding between them because they have this shared kind of experiences and this shared bond. So, yeah. You know, the fact that happened with he started, he's speaking this now. It was kind of like, okay, that's interesting. But, you know, it wasn't like he started talking to him like that the whole movie, which would have been kind of awkward, I think.
What? Yeah.
You know, it's like the rest of the movie, like every time he talks to Chewbacca, he's like talking in Wookiee, which is a very annoying, like kind of language, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sure. I don't think I can. If I was an actor, I wouldn't be able to pull that off without like laughing, you know, and busting up and having to do multiple retakes. But you know, you just kind of you're right. You have to kind of establish that and move on. And so like these two have a very good like friendship, and it just kind of shows you that like, you know, the other person doesn't necessarily need to look like you or act like you or be like you. It's just you can still be a friend with that person if you've gone through some kind of really intense shared experiences. And that's the lesson of Solo.
Yeah, I don't think it's I'm just impartial to it. I mean, it makes sense. I'm glad that they kind of addressed how Han understands it. I just wish I thought I always just assume maybe there's a little bit more mystery in that aspect, because this movie's full of those little Easter eggs, and this is one of them. Several other ones that they, you know, address are the who shot first kind of thing. They clearly resolved that in this movie with, you know, Han pulling the trigger on his buddy quickly because he said like, "Oh, you're learning, kid. You know, you got to take the move." Yeah. You know, they addressed the whole Kessel Run as not like it's a measure of distance, not a measure of time. The list goes on in regards to like what did they all the Easter eggs that they wanted to kind of get out of the way.
Got Darth Maul.
Yeah, you got Darth Maul in there, and that was another one that if folks haven't kept up with the story, kind of go, "What the fuck? How's this guy here?" And he definitely looked a lot older. You could tell he's like, you know, ooh,
not looking too. He didn't look good in the first place.
Not aging too well.
No, buddy.
But there's, I think that there are some things that they did a good job addressing. Other things they didn't really. They touched a little bit on his dad or his background, and that kind of was the connection to the Millennial Falcon. And you know, there's a lot of little things out there. I mean, maybe how he got his last name was a little bit as kind of cool. I thought it was a nice way to kind of bring that in. It's something I never even questioned. I never even assumed that like it wasn't his name. So it's a good name. Yeah. It's probably one of the best names in cinema, period, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely iconic.
It's Han Solo, James Bond. I mean, Indiana Jones. Those are great names.
Yeah.
Not real people, unfortunately.
And two of those names were invented by a fool who wears a flannel shirt and has no chin.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
Or a weak chin, rather.
Yeah, so, I mean, you go through, he was being called kid a lot by Beckett, so that's another connection why Han started using that phrase. And actually, you kind of see with what I want to go back and watch it is because a lot of Beckett, his short-term mentor, in this movie, that's almost like what Han was as an adult. Was essentially Beckett. And like where he got all those elements from. I'm glad they did that over the course of a movie and not like how they did, like when we talked about Indiana Jones Last Crusade, where you get a little 15-minute bit that shows you where Indy picked up all his tendencies from. Oh, that's where he got the scar. That's why he doesn't like snakes. That's why he has the hat. You know, like
that's how he got the name.
That's campier than, you know, Han speaking Wookiee for a minute.
No, it's smarter because you get more into the psychology of the character, and you know you have two good actors kind of playing off each other.
Yeah,
so you really have to be patient with that process. You know, you can't. This stuff isn't going to be spoon fed to you. You either kind of figure it out or you don't. And yeah, over the course of this film, we kind of learn why Han, you know, has a distrust of a lot of people, why he kind of likes to do things on his own, why he doesn't really let his emotions show that much, and he gets it all from the Woody Harrelson character.
Sure. You know, and the I think another element to it is where they're going to go with it, because I know that they had 3 movies in the contract, depending on how it goes. There's a Boba Fett movie that's out there where they could take the Marvel approach, and they could have Han's continuing story in that movie. Right. I don't really know. I mean, hope so. And I really enjoyed the movie, and I think it's a good addition to the whole Star Wars flicks, because really, when you think about it, most of them are not that great. And I would say that this is a better movie in general than most of them. If you remove all the Star Warsy stuff, it was just a good movie.
Yeah. It also sets up at the end, you know, we're going to go see this gangster.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you know the story, you know what they're talking about. So it's like, we already talked about this guy last week and how he should have his own movie.
Yeah.
You know, and I still am holding true to that, but whatever.
True. That's true.
So it kind of sets all that up. It's a great film. I don't really care what people are saying about it and basing just on the take. You know, a lot of movies, history has shown us they didn't do too well in the box office, and they're regarded as classics many years later.
Yeah, that's true.
2001, Space Odyssey didn't do that well. Now it's heralded as like one of the greatest science fiction movies ever made. So
yeah, no, that's true. I think it's got some staying power, and maybe I think it's a little bit unfair because of all the firing of the original Lord Miller, the original directors, and it kind of already got off to some bad press at the beginning. So it's just easy. Really, what I personally think it is when it comes down to it is it's just tabloids. I think people just want clickbait and they want you to read their stories. But if you talk to any good fan that is objective, which is tough to find in Star Wars fans, so they are definitely critical, you will acknowledge it it's just a solid movie. You just got to kind of give it another shot. I don't have a lot of empathy for people when, the Last Jedi didn't do this or that, and you know what Star Wars movie has. You know, like, come on. They're getting better. They're just getting to be better movies in general, so people need to calm down. And
there's a lot of like little things in this movie. Like there's the disguise that Beckett wears. Did you recognize that?
Yeah, it was from Lando in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of little things, like you mentioned last week, the Jovitos idol. I mean,
the fertility idol.
So I think it's cool when movies do that and they don't like put them right in the front of. You really got to look at it and go, oh yeah, I know what that is, without them saying what it is.
Yeah, there's actually dozens of Easter eggs in it. There's even like a Back to the Future reference. There's a lot of stuff going on in this one.
What's the Back to the Future reference?
It was something that they said when they were driving their car. It was like in reference to, you know how Flea, like Marty was talking to his friend Flea, in Back to the Future 2. That character was referenced as teaching Han something. He goes, "Where'd you learn that?" And he goes, "Oh, my buddy something taught me this." You know, when we were back, and that's the same person that was talking to Marty, same type of context. It's just dumb little things like that where they're just linking things together.
Yeah, I like when they do that.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
I want to know, what have you been watching? So I know you got a huge list here, so get choosy. What stands out to you?
Okay, well, this week I watched a mix of stuff. Saw some movies, saw some TV shows. I'll just kind of get down to I can do like a speed round and go through a lot of these.
Well, what did you enjoy the most?
I liked Red Sparrow. So
the new one?
Yeah, that was a rental with J-Law, I think that's what they're calling her.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence.
That was good. Nice, like spy, kind of old school spy movie. Like this girl is basically into this Russian spy school that trains all the girls to use like their bodies and their minds to complete certain missions. So that was good. Had a nice little twist to it. Definitely recommend that. Watched Evil Genius, which I know you talked about a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I really like that. That was so crazy.
Right, it was interesting.
It wasn't. I mean, it's like
weird rednecks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and all of them were like hoarders. Like 3 of them.
Oh yeah.
like it's just
that dude in his overalls.
It reminded me a lot of Wild Wild Country, and it has the same producers, the Duplass brothers. So it had like that same tone, but it starts one way and then it gets into something else and it comes back around. It's very fascinating. I think one of the biggest takeaways I got was like, how mental illness is really a problem in this country that's not really addressed. So that was like, kind of interesting to me. Just how this simple story that a lot of people saw on TV and we would just kind of move on and dismiss it, had all these other layers and things going on. So definitely recommend Evil Genius. That's one of the big like true crime docs right now on Netflix. Rewatched Annihilation on Blu-ray.
Oh, man, okay.
Such a good movie.
Did you like it the second time?
Oh yeah. It's just so like everything about that movie is just so different and interesting that I think it's going to hold up to multiple viewings. Like everything from the music to like the overall look to just like some of the weird scenes in there. Alex Garland's definitely like a director to kind of keep your eye on because he's always coming up with these new ideas and very, very innovative, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very refreshing. So that was good to see again. Definitely recommend that. I'll pick one more. James Cameron's Story of Science Fiction. Yeah. So
your boy.
Yeah, there he's back.
Yeah. What's this about?
So this is I think it's A&E. It's a 4-part show, and it's basically about like science fiction movies. Really, no other way to explain it. It's more or less like James Cameron at a table with different people talking to him, but they're always showing like clips and it's everything. I mean, he talks to Ridley Scott, Steven Spielberg, pretty much like every director of every science fiction movie or actor, that you could think
guys that made movies that he wish he could make.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And he's just kind of fun, it's kind of cool to see though, how he just like really like kind of fawns over a lot of these guys, even like George Lucas, where George Lucas, in a moment of tenderness, I guess you could say, kind of dismisses Star Wars as like this outer space soap opera. And James Cameron's like, well, no, there's like a lot more to it. It has this mythology behind it.
Yeah, he's very defensive.
Yeah.
I can understand. People are not kind to him.
Yeah. I mean, so, he talks about E.T. and you get more into that with Spielberg. It's really cool. I mean, it's very like fast paced, so you're never really bored. And it doesn't have like a straight up chronology to it. So you're getting into different topics, different, like not so much just like what these movies are about, but what like a sci-fi genre can be used to like, express modern themes. One really good example that they used was talking about District 9 and how
fucking prawns, man.
That's a great movie though. Like,
yeah,
and just how like it's kind of telling this like political story, and it's set in South Africa, like right after apartheid. So you're obviously commenting on that, but it's like, the way you're treating these aliens is the same way people treat each other. So, the science fiction genre, I guess you can kind of mask a lot of these themes, but the majority of your audience is going to pick up on it regardless. So that I thought that was really kind of interesting, very fascinating. Nice. It's 4 parts. It's like 45 minutes each. So. Definitely check it out. I think it's worth watching.
I'd be into it. I mean, I know we can rip on Avatar, but James Cameron's a guy that has a lot of money and he likes to spend it.
Yeah.
But he is entertaining. He is a pretty smart guy. So I'll give him that.
And I like him in stuff like this because, you can't disparage him as a good filmmaker. He's really turned out some good movies. But it's like, true. When he's very determined and he is kind of known as an asshole, but it's like he does get results. I heard he was going to do like a documentary about, remember when he went down to the Mariana Trench and like a little like pod?
Yes.
Yeah. He was supposed to make a movie of that. And I don't know if that's coming out or not, but that would be cool to see. I mean, that's something I would like to see him doing. But I'm not ready. I saw
some documentary stuff on that, but
okay. Yeah. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for 4 more Avatars. Honestly, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll go see it because I'll be curious just from a production point of view. But I won't be expecting anything. Oh yeah, go see it with Matt. Yeah. We're gonna go out to Phoenix and take him on out. We're gonna do a Harsch Review live Twitter feed of Avatar 2. Yeah. All right, so I watched a few different things this week, kind of all over the place. I've been running out of gas on some movies just because you kind of going like, yeah, I've seen it. I want to see seeing new things. I do like watching classics, but I like to watch something I haven't seen before. So the only classic I saw, and this was actually earlier today, was The Rock. I don't think I would call it a classic. It's a cheeseball movie, but again, it was on TV, so I was like, I'll indulge. What happened to Mason? Vaporized, sir. Blown out to the ocean. That poor bastard. And then the next guy comes up, and he's like, right. What happened to Mason? I want to see his body. Vaporized. Vaporized? You can do that to a human body? Oh yeah, sir. It's like the worst dialogue.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's like, let's just keep telling, not showing anything, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's The Rock. I remember I mentioned Guilty Pleasures. That kind of movie is one of those.
Like Con Air, Face Off.
Yeah, exactly. Those movies that when they came out when you were younger in your teenage years, you're like, yeah. So I went back and watched Revenge of the Sith because I was kind of feeling some Star Warsiness after Solo, and I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Yeah.
And so let's have a couple.
Which one's that? That's
the third. So it's the last of the prequels.
That's my favorite of the 3, I think.
So here's my main takeaway from it is I'm actually pretty impressed with like the vision in regards to the sci-fi-ness of the space. And I do think that the prequels did a really good job of introducing you to like what a futuristic space would look like. But it was a pretty big shock going from like a Solo type of movie to this movie because it's just so clean. Yeah. With so much CGI, everything's really clean. But from an art direction point of view, there's a lot going on that is really cool in that movie. And same with the other ones. For as terrible as Phantom Menace is and meh as Attack of the Clones, the art direction is still pretty damn good on them. And then there's, the acting obviously sucks. There's no surprise there. And it kind of just get on with it. And then when it starts wrapping up, you kind of start remembering like, okay, when are they going to call it? When are they going to call it? I thought they did a good job of like closing that one out. And you definitely just don't like Anakin. He cries just as much as his kids. So it's still entertaining. There's just really not a whole lot going on in that movie. General Grievous, I believe, the dude with the organs and stuff, he's a pretty cool villain. And I would like to see more of him, but I know he's out there in some of the other stuff, but I remember that he was pretty cool. So not a whole lot of takeaways. It was just another one I kind of went back and watched. I wasn't going to start with Phantom Menace. It's a tall order there. So I went from Revenge of the Sith after watching some of my Star Warsness, and I went and watched this Walt Disney PBS documentary. You can see it on Amazon. It's a 2-part documentary. It's probably about 4.5 hours long. If you're a creative of any type, you definitely should watch it. simply because I learned a lot about just Walt Disney, but for how animation evolved and the role that he played in it was really kind of fascinating. And you also kind of learn how much of an asshole he was. So it was very, very interesting because they have so much old footage and they have so much stuff documented that kind of talks about his journey and how, in reality, Disney, while they did, I mean, he's won more Oscars than anybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, just the influence they had and how people wouldn't recognize animation. And when he did something, his big break with Steamboat Willie was the first cartoon to sync up like sound effects with the actions on the screen. So he's tooting the horn and he's whistling, and it's like you hear the sound and you see it. That's the first time that really happened in cinema.
Big deal back then.
Very big deal, yeah, because everything else was just, you know, the drama music going on behind and you're watching it, you know, like that scene in Three Amigos where the Amigos where they go and they steal the money and then it has like the little lines underneath it and the guy's like playing the piano, you know.
Take the Amigos' clothes.
Yeah. No, it's like, we do not want your money, you know, and then it has the da 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 da. They had a little song
like
at the end.
The old Sawbones in the corner playing like the piano.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what they were all like. So
that's great.
Now he was competing essentially with Felix the Cat, was like the first celebrity cartoon. And then he came up with Oswald the Rabbit, but his publishers stole that character from him and took it to New York. So then he came back and made Mickey Mouse, who was supposed to be called Mortimer, but his wife said that's stupid, call him Mickey.
Yeah.
So he made Mickey similar to compete with Felix the Cat, and then told better stories with Mickey, and people were loving it. And then he merchandised it through products and stuff, and that's when Mickey became like a culture icon. But when he synchronized the sound and he did all that kind of stuff, that was like the first big step. And then the next one was a feature film that was all cartoon, which was Snow White. But what was most interesting aspect that you kind of watch, because you got to see a lot of the production elements of how they made Snow White. And Walt was just a genius with how he helped solve these animation problems, because he wasn't the lead animator. He was the story guy. So he's he reminded me a lot of Steve Jobs, big time. Wow. And so he brought in real actors that would dance, and then he'd have his artists copy the way that they bent and the way that they acted, so that the Snow White and the human actors, they moved like humans. They had these facial expressions and stuff. Essentially what it was is that's the inception of green screen, where people wear those little green onesies with all the little ping pong balls on it, and then they film that capture, and then they use that to trace their animation on top of.
Wow, yeah.
So that's what they had to do for Snow White, but they had to do it all on paper. And then they kind of went into when he had these 3D machines. There's a clip on YouTube you can search for. It's really cool, where to do like a depth of field 3D effect with a cartoon, you had to line up. You had this huge machine that's probably 15 feet tall, and there's a camera on top of it pointing from the ceiling down to the floor. And then you have all these different glass plates, so to speak, that have all of your images on it. So you have the foreground, the midground, and the background, and then your animation, your motion, and that they were taking pictures through like that, you know, this huge like series of window panes, so to speak. And that's where they created like that kind of motion and stuff. So people never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And it just killed it. Snow White, when it came out, did equivalent to $100 million if it were to open today. And that's when it came out, I think in 37, I want to say.
Yeah.
So
right for World War II.
Yes. And so things came along. The war kind of ruined a lot of their steam, but they had a lot of issues. You know, there was like protests and stuff because Walt was like favoring the upper class animators and the lower class people. And you go through all these ups and downs and how the company just continued to struggle. And it didn't start to succeed until Walt started doing televised TV. live TV he's doing with the kids. You see like, oh, hey, Walt Disney here, and he's doing that. Like that's when they started making their money because people loved that show. And I think the last thing I'll mention really about it is when they opened Disneyland, it was such a big event, such a big deal. That was the first time where they did multi-camera editing in real time for live broadcast. So they had 7 or 8 cameras, different celebrities, all these people at Disneyland, and they're going like, okay, and Jim, he's over in Adventureland. And then it cuts to Jim, and Jim's talking on the mic, and then it cuts to somebody else. First time they ever really tried doing that live on network TV. So that was kind of groundbreaking just from a film in camera world.
Does it get a lot into like his personal life? Or?
Oh yeah, it does. It gets down and dirty. His head's not frozen.
Did he give money to the Nazis?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I know that there's rumors that he is like anti-Semitism in his background, but nothing like that really kind of came up.
He smoked a lot.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
Nonstop. And it shows him smoking nonstop. Wow. And he used to talk about how like Walt Disney was his alter ego, how this is the person that people think I am, but it's not who I am. And
I'm really an anti-Semite, but
he's just high stress, nonstop, always going, very authentic, very charismatic. They said if you're his friend, he treated you kindly. If you're his enemy, you would fear him. And he could just be a relentless prick. So it was very fascinating just to kind of see about like how did he accomplish these things and the politics and all that kind of stuff that came along its way. And just the innovation in filmmaking. I mean, even down to like Mary Poppins with Dick Van Dyke dancing with penguins. Like that's a big deal back then. That was like their avatar,
That was cool.
So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out, especially if it's just called Walt Disney. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to watch that. It's really good. It keeps you interested. It really kind of shows you where he lived in this little town in Missouri. And only lived there for a couple years, but that was like during this point in his life that was only kind of like impactful, and just tried to recapture that feeling. And so his influence for Disneyland was based off that town. And you kind of just see where all that came from and how it was so profoundly, how much it affected him. And you also see the dynamic between him and his brother Roy, who was kind of like the money man. Walt was the idea man. So it's definitely pretty cool.
Nice. I think I'm going to watch that. You've sold me on it, Sean.
Done. All right. So I got one more for you.
Okay.
All right. So All the Money in the World.
Oh,
have you seen this one yet?
No, but I have heard of it and actually dug up a little news story about it. If you want to talk about that when you're done.
If I don't mention it, absolutely. Yeah. So Ridley Scott did this movie, All the Money in the World. I just watched it pretty recently. It was the movie, if you don't remember, that had Kevin Spacey's last role, where the whole movie is pretty much in the can. Kevin Spacey comes out as a creeper. So Ridley Scott said it took him about 20 minutes to decide, or maybe it was 20 seconds to can him.
20 seconds.
Yeah, and he said, when they asked him, he said, in a heartbeat. Took me about 20 minutes. Yeah. And so they canned Kevin Spacey, hired Christopher Plummer, and went back and reshot all of Spacey's stuff. So the studio gave them an extra $10 million, and they brought all the actors back, and they did what they could other than some of the on-location stuff, which you can kind of see. So the movie is basically about John Paul Getty, who at the time was the wealthiest man in the history of the human race. And he was just an old, miserable bastard that had money in oil. They don't really talk so much about his childhood or anything like that. It's kind of established that like you kind of know who he is. And his grandson was kidnapped in Rome and held ransom for $17 million. And it was held ransom for 6+ months. It was eventually sold to other people that kind of took on the ransom as they're trying to pull money from him, and he refused to pay. And it's just a sad movie. Eventually, it's a historical thing that happened. Eventually his grandson was let go. They negotiated a certain sum of money and blah, blah, blah. So it's really that story. Mark Wahlberg's in it, and I think Melissa Williams is her name, or what's
Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams. And she was great in it. It's basically her movie. She did really good.
Do you know about like this? I can tie in my news story. Do you know about like the controversy surrounding her and Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah. So that I think had to do with the reshoots and Mark Wahlberg wanting to get paid extra for the reshoots, but they weren't paying her.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, she was getting paid so they basically they hired him back on. She was getting like an $80 per day diem or per diem or something like that, and then he got hired on for the same plus a $1.2 million bonus. Which kind of like it makes him look like a dick, honestly.
Well, it's her movie too. I mean,
and she's great. I mean, I've seen her in some things and she's great, so it's like he to me isn't like a very like superior actor, like not with a lot of range to it.
He didn't add much value to his role. You could have put a lot of people in there.
He's a name star, but it's like, so it really shows this like Hollywood still has a long way to go in terms of, paying women and respecting women and giving them the due. Not just so much on the name alone, but on their acting ability. So
sure.
I saw that and I was kind of like, a lot of people were like tweeting about it and said how much bullshit it is. And it is bullshit. It's kind of messed up.
Yeah, it is. And I think that they rectified that in this particular situation after the press got a hold of that. But the funny thing is that, he had already lost 30 pounds and had a huge beard for his next movie. So like he had to make some compromises, which for an actor I get, cause that's going to set you back on your future project. But it doesn't mean that you should get, special treatment. I don't necessarily blame Wahlberg for that. That's really their agents and their studios, and how they negotiate for that. Because his time is worth money. Any actors true. Is. She was willing to do it for free. She just wanted the movie to be successful and to do that.
Yeah. True artist.
So the original trailer had Kevin Spacey playing this guy, and which I haven't gone and seen, so I need to go and watch that. But Christopher Plummer was awesome in this movie.
Yeah, that guy's good.
He's 88 years old. He had zero time to prepare. He said he had days, and then he was on set, and he just kind of winging it.
And he was in The Sound of Music, Sean.
Oh my goodness! That's okay.
Tie-in, yeah.
Tie-in. Hey,
call back.
Yeah, and so he did a great job. He didn't even meet Wahlberg until they were on set, like literally minutes before action.
It's like, how you doing? All right.
Yeah, exactly. And so, he does such a good job of playing this old curmudgeon that's all about his legacy and his family and how, Getty made all this money. And he was able to do it all tax-free because it was built into his trust foundation. So he was able to tie up his money in antiquities. So he actually had no proper wealth. It was all tied up in just historical antiquities, which are typically on display if you're in Southern California at the Getty Museum, but especially at his old residence, which converted now to the Getty Villa in Malibu.
Malibu, yeah.
I've been to both of those. I didn't know the Getty Villa was built to be his house.
Yeah,
that place is rad. It's You've been there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's crazy, man. I mean, just imagine living with all that and just knowing before you go to bed every night. Yeah, I got several $1 million worth of history.
Beyond millions, like priceless stuff in there. And so it's just interesting to see how much of an asshole this dude really is. And you kind of have to trust that, it's an accurate portrayal to a certain extent because it is a historical movie. Very interesting read. It's something that I would even like read more about just to see. The guy was so cheap, where he's like, he's all, doesn't even matter if I had all the money in the world, I won't pay kidnappers a dime for my grandson,
And that's not even like a negotiating tactic, right? That's just
no, he just
a dick.
Wasn't a priority to him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really good to watch. It's a good movie. It slows down a little bit. You kind of pick it up here and there as it kind of develops, but I enjoyed it. I was entertained.
Nice. And
Yeah.
it's good to like that kind of thing you don't really know much about. So it's kind of cool to get into that world and see what these people are really like.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice.
All right. So where are we going from here?
Well, I think it's time to introduce a new segment, Sean, to the show.
Yes, it is.
You know, you kind of pitched this one, and I you know, so I don't know how we want to start this, but
all right. So let me set it up. So
okay.
this is your mission should you choose to accept it. And
viewing challenge.
Viewing challenge.
Viewing challenge. And you kind of have to accept it because it's not like.
Yeah, the only reason. Okay, so what it is I said I'm going to pick a movie. You're not going to know what it is, and you have to watch it. And then you got to give your little quick 1-minute review on it the following week.
You're not going to know what it is until we tell you.
Yeah, so I got a couple in my pocket just in case. So the only way you can get out of it is if you've seen it.
Okay. So you want to pitch it to me first?
Yes.
So what I did in retort, Sean, I made a whole list of movies for you.
Okay.
And they're all kind of meant to mess you up a little bit.
Oh, okay, great. So you're probably going to go with what is that? I can't think of the name right now. It'll come to me. Okay. I know. There's going to be a couple out there, and you might already know what I have or haven't seen, which might be a little unfair.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick movies that you would not watch on your own will, but not really bad movies per se. I don't want to be that kind of guy. Like, all right, you're now going to watch Dirty Dancing. You know,
hey, seen it.
Yeah, I know. So I'll gift you this one. Okay, so your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to watch Liam Neeson in The Commuter.
Okay. You know, I was thumbing through. I think I saw it. Would that be Amazon or Netflix?
No, it's iTunes right now. You can buy it for $10 or you can rent it. I'll gift you the rental if you need it.
Hey, all right.
It's a movie I would watch. It's a popcorn movie. I would rent it and be like, yeah, this is a good time, use of my time. Because he's got this moving vehicles heist, crime theme going on.
Yeah.
But
sounds a lot like another movie he did.
Yeah, exactly. But I know it's one that you would probably willingly watch. So
yeah,
I didn't want to go too hard on you this first time and make you watch something like A Wrinkle in Time. So you're welcome. I think I'm taking it a little easy on you, but my tone might change next week depending on how you treat me.
I had something really messed up picked out for you, but I might have to tone it down a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna like. What was that movie I'm thinking of? Aaron, with the girl from Beautiful Mind, Aronofsky movie. You're gonna make me watch one of those.
That's on the list. Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna pick that one.
Yeah, that's on my list. Actually.
Yeah,
have you seen it?
I know. No, I haven't seen it intentionally. Just because like movies that are really twisted, I don't want in my headspace. That's just me, though.
Yeah.
Unless it's a good story, I'll be into it.
Yeah. Well, since you're being so nice to me, Sean, I have to. I'll give you something that you probably haven't seen, but I think you'll really enjoy. But this is a foreign movie, so you're gonna have to look through a couple subtitles.
Yeah, great. All right.
You okay with that?
Yeah. All right.
This movie is like one of the most entertaining action movies I have ever seen. It's fairly new. But basically, it's I'm not going to really spoil it, but it's called The Raid, and it's from Indonesia.
Oh, I've seen it. So I know. Here's a confession.
Okay.
First date with my wife, I took her to see that movie.
Nice.
I just had to get out of the way right away. I was like, all right, we're going to go see this movie called The Raid. You want to go? I think it was the first date. I don't know, but it was definitely not her type of movie. I thought it was pretty rad. So,
yeah. Okay.
Good pick, though. I like where you're going.
All right.
Thankfully, you have this master list. I would bet all in black for mine.
All right, I got another one for you. You probably haven't seen this one. It's on Netflix, so you don't have to pay for it. And it stars Dan Stevens and Lieutenant Daniels from favorite show ever, The Wire. and it's I guess you could classify it as like a thriller action movie.
Okay.
And it's called The Guest.
The Guest.
Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
Then you're gonna watch it.
Okay.
I think you'll like it. It's not like overly twisted. It is a little like
The Guest. All right.
B movie ish in parts.
I wrote it down.
Okay, so
I won't forget it.
Don't forget it. The Guest, and I got The Commuter.
Yes, you have The Commuter.
I'm not gonna watch some other movie and be like, Sean.
Yeah.
I didn't know those kind of movies were part of the
yeah
the Harsch Review repertoire.
Yeah, it's The Commuter.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna watch these movies over the span of a week, and then we're gonna kind of discuss them for a little bit on the next podcast.
Yes, we will.
Very nice.
All right, cool.
Before we go, Sean, I wanted to play a little game with you.
All right, what do you got?
So this is just some trivia, and this is not your typical trivia. So
okay.
You know when actors and actresses come into Hollywood, they sometimes have to change their names.
Yeah.
Like either because sometimes in the Screen Actors Guild, you can't have two actors with the same names. So you might have to add an initial.
Or they need to Hollywood it up, right?
Right. So I went online and I found a pretty good list. So this game is going to be Guess My Real Name. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Is it guess my real name, or are you telling me the real name and I have to guess the actor? Or
I'm gonna tell you the real name and you have to guess the actor.
Okay.
So if you can't guess the actor at all, I'll give you to say, give me a clue. I'll give you a clue. So some of these are very obvious. Some of these are not so obvious. So I just want to see how you think you're going to do, and we'll pretty much go until this bit runs out of steam.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. Your first actress is Demetria Guinness.
Demetria Guinness? Demi Moore?
Yeah. How'd you know that?
I don't know.
Whatever.
All right. Well, there goes that. Yeah.
All right. Here's another one for you. Margaret, Mary, Emily, Ann, Hira.
Margot Robbie.
Nope.
I don't know.
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan. Oh, I didn't know she was still around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now with a name like that.
Yeah.
Margaret, Mary, Emily, Ann, Hira.
Yeah, it sounds like a whole family.
Yeah.
Margaret, Emily, Mary, and get your ass over here. Yeah.
Joaquin Raphael Bottom.
Joaquin Raphael Bottom.
And he's not a
It's not his profession.
Star.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not semicolon.
He's
bottom.
on bottom.
Joaquin. I only know Joaquin Phoenix, but that's too easy. Joaquin. I don't know. This is a tough one.
You should have stuck with your gut, Sean. It's Joaquin Phoenix.
It is okay.
Joaquin Bottom.
Yeah.
I think Phoenix is a better name.
Yeah, I like that too.
Krishna Pandit Banji.
Ooh, I actually kind of know this one. Krishna Pandit Banji. I thought I knew it, but to spare folks, I will say I do not know.
It is Ben Kingsley.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yep.
I did know that one. I remember that from reading about the Gandhi.
Oh, yeah.
Or just Gandhi, not the Gandhi. All
Good
right.
movie.
Yeah, that's all right. Go ahead.
Maurice Micklewhite.
God, these are gonna be. How am I gonna know these? Maurice Micklewhite.
Well, I can give you a clue.
Yeah, gotta give me something because this is gonna be brutal.
Right. He's in all three. He's in all three of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
Is that the old dude? It's what's his name? Michael Caine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good job, Sean.
Yeah. Thanks,
right.
Ryan.
Let's find a couple more. You'll never get this one.
Yeah,
Isser Danielovich Dembski.
It's Isher Danielovich Dembski.
Yep.
Oh shit. Reeve Schreiber, whatever his name is.
Kirk Douglas.
Oh, way off. What?
Right, Liev Schreiber.
I'm trying to go like Euro or something. That was a respectable attempt.
Yeah.
All right, give me one more. One more.
Here we go. One more. Ramon Antonio Gerard Estevez.
That would be, if it's an Estevez, it's probably Charlie Sheen.
You're close. It's actually his dad, Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen. All right.
Yep.
Yeah,
all right.
It was in that family. Okay.
So that's your. I got a whole bunch more, but it's.
Yeah, let's save them. Let's save them for the next one.
All right.
Those were tough.
Maurice Micklewhite. I got one more for you.
Right.
Thomas Mapother III. I'm not kidding around.
Tom Hardy.
No, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. What is it again?
Thomas Mapother.
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 What if you went, hey, Thomas Mapother? Would he look at you?
Tom Mapother. No, you'd be instantly shunned by the Scientology.
Yeah. So, like, sir, come with me.
Yeah, come with me, sir.
Your feet levels look extraordinarily high. All right, so I'll wrap it up with some quick trivia for you to kind of pay my respects. Nice. So these are gangster movie trivia. So I know you like gangster movies a lot more than I do.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's play us through these. So which of these following movies did Robert De Niro not star in? Okay. Casino, Goodfellas, The Godfather, or Untouchables?
Which Godfather?
Those are the four options. The Godfather.
Whatever. The Godfather. He was in The Godfather 2, however, Sean.
Okay. Yes. So
like whatever.
Yeah.
Next.
You want to? I'm gonna make a confession right now.
Okay.
And this is gonna break your heart. I have never seen any of the Godfather movies.
Well, it looks like someone just signed them up for 3 weeks of viewing challenge.
All I know is there's a horse head in a bath or in a bed. Well, that's about it. So.
The only two you need to see are the first two. So that's gonna give you about 6.5 hours of harsh viewer challenge. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's wow. Okay.
So just get it out there. Sean. I probably lost half the viewers right now.
I'm telling our mom on you.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. There's no particular reason. It's just one of those things that just didn't happen, and then it kind of came to that point. You were like, do I need to? Yeah. All right. And one of the most famous and electrifying scenes in movie history, Santino Corleone was gunned down where?
That would be at a toll booth station.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
All right. Al Pacino played the title role in Scarface. What's his character's name?
That'd be Tony Montana.
There you go. That was easy.
Yeah. Come on.
All right. Which organization was finally able to take down Pacino in Scarface?
I guess it's one of the cartels.
Mm-hmm. Which organization?
The Diaz brothers?
Sosa.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Sosa.
All
right, in Goodfellas, what made man did Tommy whack, which resulted in Tommy's being whacked?
That would be Billy Bats.
Yeah, Billy Bats.
Get your shine box.
Henry Hill said that I always wanted to be a gangster. I thought being a gangster was better than being a blank.
President?
Yeah, President of the United States. Yeah. I don't even know what movie that's from.
Goodfellas.
All right, so let's see. Warren Beatty starred in which 1991 gangster movie?
Bugsy.
Bugsy is correct.
My second guess would have been Dick Tracy.
Yeah. Who played Miguel? Yeah, Dick Tracy. I'm gonna rub him out.
Mumbles.
Who played Michael Corleone's daughter, Mary, in Godfather 3?
Ooh, would that be Sofia Coppola?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Jeez, you're killing these ones.
Terrible actress.
Which of the following who acted in all three Godfather movies? I don't have a list here.
Ooh, Al Pacino.
Talia Shire.
Oh, okay. That would be Adrian from Rocky.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
In Godfather 2, who said, I know it was you, Frito. You broke my heart.
Michael Corleone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which gangster won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor?
Oh. You can stump me on this one. I don't know. Dick Tracy?
Joe Pesci.
Oh, he wasn't a real gangster, though.
Oh, okay. Well, we can argue the last one for you here.
All right.
All right.
You basically don't care about this topic at all. You're like,
I don't know. I mean, I've seen all those movies, but it's
doesn't
they're
matter.
all right.
Yeah.
It's not my. they're all right.
Yeah.
There's people that like love gangster movies, and then there's people that are like me that are like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right. It's just a bunch of hotheads who can't handle stuff.
Right. Hotheads. Guys with serious anger problems.
Yeah. It's like,
use some meditation techniques.
Yeah. Which gangster spoof starred Michael Keaton, Mario Henner, Joe Piscopo, and Peter Boyle?
What's the first actor?
Michael Keaton.
Johnny Dangerously.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
I don't know how I knew that.
You killed it.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Nice. Better than Thomas Mapother III.
Yeah. Geez, and you're like, let's see how much you know.
Tom.
All right, that's gonna do it for this week. My mission is to watch The Guest, and Ryan, you're gonna watch what?
The Commuter.
The Commuter. Yeah,
Yep.
I think you came out on top in here, but I haven't seen The Guest, so we'll give it a shot.
I think you'll like it, Sean.
Yeah, I will.
Check it out.
All right, Ryan.
It's definitely a date movie.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, you're
so
setting
watch
me
it with
up.
your lady.
So yeah, stop by next week to kind of check out and see how that went along. And thanks for stopping by and listening to today's episode. We talked a little bit about everything. We got some more cooking up for you guys next week. So we'll see you over at Facebook or Instagram or Twitter at The Harsch Review. And if you want to support the show, head over to patreon.com/The Harsch Review. Submit your top 10s and more. Check it out. Patreon.com/The Harsch Review. This is episode 26, and my name is Sean.
And my name is Thomas Mapother III.
It is. Have a good one.
Bye.